Okay, so last video we discussed the Stephen Avery case. And I want to talk a little bit more about that whole IQ of 70 thing, because here's what nobody is remembering. Here's something that even the filmmakers sort of glossed over. And that is the fact that Stephen Avery was also proven to have an IQ of 70, just like Brendan Dassy. Here's the thing, people. An IQ between 50 and 70 is basically the scholastic equivalent of a third grade student. Now, if you look at that in overall functionality, what this basically means is that, Brendan Dassy and Stephen Avery are operating under a very limited view of the world. Okay. As such, they're easily manipulated. They're easily bum rushed. And the fact of the matter is this: Brendan Dassy was taken into an interview room and told by the police officers that his mother had said that she was fine with him being interviewed without her. This is actually wrong. His mother wanted to be in the interview room, but the officers had told her that it wasn't necessary and she didn't need to be in there. Now, at the trial, they only played like 2 hours of the confessional videotape from Brendan Dassy. They neglected to play the last hour and a half of the videotape that shows Brendan talking with his mother and saying, "They got into my head. None of this is true. They convinced me to say these things." And now what I'm not understanding is why Brendan Dassy's attorney allowed that last bit of the videotape to not be shown in court. He should have raised an objection. But see, if you watch the whole series and you look specifically at the Brendan Dassy defense team, you will see one very fundamental truth. His first attorney was clearly working on the side of the prosecution. He was looking to make the prosecution against Stephen Avery more effective. And as a result, he allowed Brendan Dassy to be interviewed by his investigator, who basically, don't worry about him. He's just pissing and moaning because he wants more Cheerios. He basically allowed his investigator to interview Brendan Dassy without him present, which is actually illegal. It is unconstitutional. His attorney must be present at any and all interviews, even if it is an interview with a specialist hired by the defense. And he wasn't there. None of that shit should have been admitted at trial, but his subsequent defense attorney allowed it to be admitted. These boys were railroaded. It's very simple. So parents, the point of all of this is this: make sure your child knows that in any interview, whether it be with school personnel or with the police or anyone, if they are under the age of 18, you are their legal counsel, which means that any interview, any questioning, anything without you present is actually illegal and inadmissible in court. Insist on being in next to your child during any interview, line of questioning, anything. Insist on it. Raise hell if need be. And if need be, you can call the public defender's office and let them know what's going on, and they will send somebody right down to talk with your child. Now, make sure that your kids are made aware of this information and tell them, do not answer any questions. Anytime they ask you something, where were you on X date? I'll be happy to answer that when my mom gets here. Well, what about this? I'll be happy to answer that when my mom gets here. Just stonewall them. Because here's what a lot of people don't know. They can't actually force you to talk. And to do so would be to admit that they're wrong. So that's what I want to leave you parents with right now. I want you to understand that your child does have rights, but you as the parent are responsible for making them aware of those rights. Research the rights in your state and make sure that your child is well informed of this. We'll cover more in the next video. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.